Good stuff. Good catch on.
Welcome back, everyone, to match number 12. We are going to be back on Miramar, but actually going back to a maybe the analyst desk here, as we have a bit of a technical difficulty here for match number 12.
Yeah, game of hot potato. So take it back.
Or keep it here.
Or keep it here.
So Cameron, maybe we can expand off of what the desk kind of talked about. You and I were having a conversation of our own, talking about the strides that at least AVANGAR was able to make, and it wasn't that great based off of that performance. It didn't necessarily push them up the leaderboards.
I don't know what you're talking about. They were 13th, and now we're up at 9th now.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so that's a pretty good leap, and especially since the biggest drop-off in the leaderboard was from 10th to 11th.
Right.
So it's certainly, they're not done yet, obviously. They're still not in the top 4. But it is actually a good start to them climbing up the leaderboards.
It is, and the question remains, will that be kind of the kick down the hill, the momentum start for AVANGAR rolling into the final 2 days? And then also Unity, who off that second place was able to advance themselves very, very close to that top 4.
Yeah, Unity are now in 5th. They were, I think, 6th or 7th. They weren't, like, terribly far.
No.
AVANGAR has certainly, I think, gained more points on the leaderboard positions. Yes. They got a little higher, even though Unity got about as many points, if not like 1 or 2 more. But Unity, they were a team that, I mean, all of the teams that came from PEL there were always questions like, oh, can they perform here? Especially because a number of them really seem to have slipped. Like Reciprocity played really well in their final week of PEL.
Yep.
The rest of them kind of didn't, which meant like, oh, did they just give up on the final week because they knew that they were stuck inside relegations, or did they just give up as a team overall? And Unity, of the 3 PEL teams that are here, was certainly the one that I had the biggest question about that on, but they're really close to top 4. And with the performance that they had last game, they're not steamrolling in the way that like Reciprocity are, in the way that Vitality started out this event as, but it's still certainly a team that we want to keep our eyes on.
So where I think Unity and Reciprocity really gained their advantage over Team Vitality, talking about the PEL teams that are facing off against relegation, is the fact that both Unity and Reciprocity worked their way out of contenders in phase number 1. They played against a majority of these teams that they're now facing back off against. So all those strategies, yes, they do shift somewhat. It's not going to be that big unknown that Vitality is going up against.
I don't know. Yes, I certainly see your point. These guys do have experience with a number of these squads, but at the rate that PUBG Esports has been changing across all the regions, because like we've been playing in basically a new format this entire year, you can just see change across EU, across NA, in both, you know, the Pro League as well as Contenders League. It's not going to be, like, you don't want to fall into that trap of expecting that these teams that you played with 2 months ago are going to be the exact same team.
Right. I mean, because they're not. That's just the fact of it. But similarities, sure, they still could present themselves, especially in drop locations and rotations, which tend to at least stay fairly similar for these squads throughout the phases. But it looks like we are getting closer and closer to popping back into match number 12. And is there anything else that you're looking to see coming into this game, Cameron?
I just want to see more performances like we saw from Unity. Like I want to see more double-digit kill performances, no matter if you win or lose. In fact, I think it's even better if you are able to get 13, 14, 15 kills by not even getting first place.
Like Zoekt and Naam on day number 1, where they were able to do a full team concede and be fairly confident and happy with it after picking up, I believe it was like 14 kills off of that hillside.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game here. It's a point race, whether it be from kills, whether it be from placements. Necessarily, really the first place spot is where you're aiming for, obviously, for those majority of the points, 10 points for that first place takedown, or a combination of the both, which is likely to happen. But now we pop back in. Game number 12 is going to be underway, 12 of 20, as we at least get closer to closing out this promo.
Closer to see who's going to be in the PEL, and it's looking pretty strongly like Reciprocity are going to be one of them, because even like that game, they got 4 kills, a 5th point, I think, from their placement. That's an outlier, and that's usually what a lot of teams want to look for as like their average, or at least I guess a little below their average. So they've been performing very, very well. Beşiktaş still performing well, even if they got into a little bit of a tricky situation trying to leave the little hillside up on the north close to the wall, just on the north side of the map. It's Zoekt and Naam is the team that looked really good on the first day, but where are they? We were asking that question yesterday, and we're going to ask that question again today, because in that first round, they were, I think, the quietest they've ever been.
And the more we have to ask that question, Cameron, well, the worse it will look for Zoekt and Naam. So hopefully they can turn things around here as they find themselves dropping into that Puerto Paraiso, that known and loved static location here for that squad on Miramar. Teams will be having a bit of difficulty stretching over to those far western areas, but shouldn't be too rough for them. But if you were stretching west, well, it's going to be now taking time into your rotation, because look at that far eastern circle we're going to be working off of.
Once again, the circle is going to be harshly in the direction of where the plane started. And just like the previous game heavily favored No Tag and AVANGAR, this one's going to heavly favor Zoekt and Naam and Beşiktaş. Beşiktaş doesn't need this much help. They're already in the top 4 right now. They've been performing very well. But just like you asked, was previous game, was that going to be the kickstart of AVANGAR's rise? This could easily be the kickstart of Zoekt and Naam coming back to what we expected to continue to see after day 1.
It certainly could. Beşiktaş is also going to be in a good position off of that Impala static location where they always find themselves dropping. Will possibly have to reunite as a 4-man squad a little bit quicker than normal based off of the rotations that will be coming for that centralized area. But Cameron, the question always remains, when we see a circle like this with those islands included, you have to mention it. You have to mention it. It is going to be at least a thought in these players' heads.
There's too much water. I mean, there's not enough water. There's too much land in this circle for it to be a reasonable even consideration that it happens. If we see a super hard shift over towards the east twice, then maybe. But this is probably one of the more unlikely circles that we've seen with those islands in. We've seen circles where it's about half of it is water because it is so far east. And in a circle like that, then those islands should be a consideration. But right now, I don't think it should be really anyone's consideration.
Well, it's definitely going to be a thought as these teams prepare for that Phase 2 shift coming out in a few minutes' time. They're still in those loop rotations, though. A few teams definitely going to have some massive rotations to make. And I kind of want to go back to AVANGAR. They're a team that's going to have to fight through many obstacles to get down to the southeast, to get inside of Phase number 1. And it's kind of going to be a test of this team's strength. We saw them perform very well in game number 1 where they didn't have to make massive rotations. But how are things going to end up here for them? You mentioned it, Cameron. They had it pretty much the best of any team in game number 1. First team out of the plane with a northern plane path. It really favored them.
Yeah, but we're going to see them have to pull those sort of macro muscles into play as they're going to have a long way to move. And this one doesn't have the best routes of access because if you want to come in from the north, there's already a number of teams up there, and they should be aware of that. If you want to come in from, I guess, the middle of the west side, that's going through Picado, and that's always super dangerous. And if you want to come in from the south, just that sort of rocky entrance down there where 7 are, where Zoekt and Naam are, is not the easiest to be able to scout ahead. And so this one is probably a harder circle to rotate in if you're super far away than the previous games was.
Approaching the 4.5-minute mark of game number 12 is about the time, at least the average time, where we start to see those rotations come out, specifically from the teams outside of the circle. Definitely going to kickstart those, and then repositions for teams who have already found themselves inside of Phase number 1. As you see on your map on the right-hand side of the screen, a lot of teams starting to at least move their way towards center. Beşiktaş going to have some company on the west-hand side as they spot out the members of Vitality. A few shots going to be finding the connections onto Nasus, please, as he tries to continue on in the buggy, blocking the lines of sight.
You questioned Beşiktaş, if they wanted to group up super early or not, but no, they're actually going to take this initial position, a little bit split looting position, and use that to their advantage in trying to establish control in the center, already pushing Vitality off of at least their initial route. Don't know if they're going to still aim for where they originally wanted to shoot for. Quickmath here also pushing through.
Maya's going to be the recipient, or rather the the dealer of damage, as we find our first blood of the game. Fake from Desperados will be going down and out as the flush comes in with the Mini 14 headshot. That's going to be a good pickup for them as they continue on that rotation. They're not going to stick around. As you see on the right-hand side of your screen, they're not going to wait for their other members of Desperados. A few shots coming out onto Mize as he makes his entry into the northwestern side of Phase number 1. But Beşiktaş continue to hold on, very spread out, as you mentioned, Cameron. Ultra going to be at least a little bit west of his other teammates, Tamil and Lux, and then Simsy very, very far down south.
But the thing is that both of those split players have an easy open field to just cross in a vehicle to get back to the core duo as like the center point of this hold. So they both have, relatively easy, reasonably easy routes of access to retreat from a situation if it gets a little too hot, if they recognize that a team is about to bomb into them once that team knows there's only one person there. So this is a very nice hold that can easily collapse.
Mai's going to be taking the opportunity, as he did enter into the circle, to reunite with his teammates. Tuho Juo coming in to provide a little bit of support, but they will be trying to at least put some pressure out. No, he's just going to be picked up. He was pinned down behind a rock. Myers will be scooped up and taken out of danger, hopefully, as O'Connell from No Tag Team and the rest of his squad find some frags. Tornado Energy going to be the recipients of some shots as some trades come back out. Melman onto Eris. He will be knocked down and flushed out of the game very early once again.
A lot of transitional kills happening super early. In fact, it was No Tag. Going back to that engagement, they're not even in the circle. I don't know if they're intentionally holding for Tornado Energy or vice versa, but they're sticking out. The blue is closing in. It's already halfway done, and they're sticking out in this engagement. You can see Tornado Energy pulling off of this. They don't want to commit to this heavily, but this is still an early time to choose to take such an interesting fight.
And given the two teams, I'm not really surprised. These are two teams that need to be able to find points, so the aggressiveness is kind of like the last-ditch efforts coming out from these squads. They're going to take the riskier fights, the fights that really net them nothing other than kill points, as you see them continuing to put out those shots. Northern Lights going to be trying to aim down onto the members of Ferrari Breachers. Perfect, trying to line up something with the 4 times the top, the Mini 14. Won't be able to scout out anyone just yet, but he does have teammates moving up a little bit closer as Edgecast continues to bleed out. Rez will be coming in shortly.
This fight makes a lot more sense, though. Because, like, they're both already in the circle. Tornado Energy, Melman having to route all the way up because even though they want to retreat from this engagement, No Tag are perfectly fine. Just chilling here. In fact, it was No Tag yesterday that was eating up all of those. No, I'm confusing them with Ferrari Breach.
Yeah.
That was the team that was in the blue for about 10 whole minutes yesterday on
I think Washout has the longest time spent in the blue zone so far over the tournament, and then the other 3 players of that squad are quickly following thereafter. Quickmath going to be the other squad with the majority of time spent in the blue zone for these games, but Unity now 4 in the compound. The concrete going to be held down. A few shots, pressure being applied across the distance to the west. But Reciprocity, we saw a bit of a shift based off the plane path. They landed and cruised to Valle, which forced a different rotation for them around the northeastern side of this phase. And now entering in, Scoom going to be scouting out as AVANGAR makes that very far rotation from the northwestern side of the map. Fairly similar rotation, just a little bit later than Reciprocity.
They're actually all separated right now, so if there anyone trying to hold onto that road, could be quite dangerous to them, but that's not something that you see often in EU, much less any other region at this point. Just the fact that the game is so much faster now, in the early game especially, is so much faster, it means that any sort of camp, whether it's a bridge camp or a road camp, it's less likely to happen because it's riskier to pull. It's a riskier use of resources.
10 seconds remain until that Phase 2 shift will be coming out, and Desperados are going to be riding on to the northern side of Phase number 1. But this shift is going to be incredibly important in terms of the landscape that it sets up for these players here in Phase number 2 at the 9-minute mark, and there it is, a hard shift up towards the northeast. Water going to be in play. That northeastern coast going to be very kind of hard to maneuver around for these teams as Reciprocity already goes into the rotation.
Yeah, Reciprocity, the timing that they arrived where they were, they actually had a really good call to we've seen them do a lot of 2-2 splits a lot, but they made the call to actually just leave those two a little further north just in case it was a northern shift. They knew that they were empty around them, and so they had the opportunity to make that play, and it's going to go into their favor. Shiv and I believe it was Rafi were up on the north side, had the perfect opportunity to basically grab dead center. We already saw them going for a nice compound that controls an intersection of an important set of roads very, very well.
Vitality at least was trying to depart this as a full squad, this compound where 2 of the members were able to, but the shots coming in from Quickmath stalled the other 2 members and kept them at bay. They are going to at least attempt that once again as the members of GamerLegion wrap around the far southeastern bend of Miramar, going to be quickly followed up thereafter by the likes of 7 in their own caravan.
This is a lot of teams trying to drive in from the southern side, and this isn't the best terrain to really get a lot of information from, and so there's going to be a lot of really close engagements like this one.
GamerLegion able to find 1, able to find 2 now, knocking out the likes of 7, being a definite thorn in the side of this squad as Edelweiss and Francario will have to continue on as a 2-man squad. Very, very quickly going to be pulling off of this, trying to get some blockage of line of sight to get the meds rolling, and Edelweiss will be doing just that. But this also opens up a window of opportunity for the likes of GamerLegion to reset.
I believe that's Bjorn actually coming in from the backside, all the way off in the distance. So he could do a really good job if his main squad, the 3 that we're looking at right now, are a distraction enough onto 7, and he could really just, you know, be the backstab onto them. Francario's trying to get a good angle with the car 98.
See Bjorn off in the distance. Looks like he's gravitating over towards the mountainside where Francario is currently holding on to. AVANGAR going to be looking over the direction of Calvin Klein on the hillside. Possibly has the indication, yes, going to be spotting someone out with the M24. Is able to find the body shot. 65 damage to be applied as Bjorn, the flank player, has approached up onto Francario. Will be at least having a general direction of where this player lies. Vitality having a bit of a vehicular mishap. And the kill feed spray comes out. Francario not going to be tagged down and flushed. Instead, able to find the nice trade onto Bjorn. That's going to be one of those moments where you really got to hit those.
Yeah, but Tornado Energy example is hitting them very, very well. Already 2 down for Ferrari Breachers, and this was, well, using no tag in the distance. They were the ones that were actually keeping Tornado Energy up on that northern side, out in the blue. But with the northern shift, it actually helped both of those squads get in, even with that extended engagement outside of the circle. But just going back to GamerLegion and 7, at that distance, if he had that Mini 14, right?
Yes.
With the 4X, you
Yes.
probably should have just opened with that instead of trying to go for the spray. I think he hit 1 bullet, and the immediate 180 by that player on 7 just ruined that. So that could have been really, really valuable for GamerLegion. But now they're down to 3, and well, they're being surrounded by a lot of different squads, and because they chose to play along the coast, they're on the low ground from a lot of this. T-Bone and Inductive both are trying to spray down on Hamster. It's going to be T-Bone that gets it.
Only needed 1 shot. T-Bone going to be quickly, though, traded out by another squad. Unity's Tizerin is able to find the knockdown as we wait for Phase 3 to shift. And up towards the north, it continues to trend. Reciprocity going to be holding on to the most centralized position currently held by any team on the map. Hamster found out and spotted down by Paige, who was able to secure the knock that T-Bone was able to get.
I'm going to call it the team that wins this. If they win off of positioning, they're going to have very low kills because most of the damage is going to be happening in the next 5 minutes or so when everyone's trying to come from the southern Impala area.
Otherwise, not what you want to be happening for one of the remaining members of 7. A vehicle explosion comes out and drops Otherwise out of the game. 7 continues on with just 1 member remaining with 16 teams alive. PG-18 under fire. Simsy M24 headshot connection onto Diaz as the res comes out from Page onto T-Bone. Again, Zoekt and Naam having a pretty controlling, at least, position on the hillside to the south of this circle. But it's not going to lend itself to too many kills.
Ooh, Yannick is trying to hold this position down for his squad. The rest of the PG-18 arrive. He's got a good spray on 1 member, but immediately traded by Lux.
Good spray down from the M416 to the members of Beşiktaş as they're able to capitalize onto one of the members of PG-18. However, the trades come back out, and they need to worry about getting Simsy back up, continuing as a 4-stack, and Tommel is doing just that. But Vitality rolling in from the south could be the pinch position. That puts Beşiktaş in a desperate position.
Vitality going to have to push up a fair bit if they want to spot this engagement out, but of course hearing the grenades in the distance may count as bait. And a lot of grenades they are, while Lux, well, there is the pickup on the Beşiktaş, and Lux and Tom will push forward, get one. Oh no, they don't actually get any. There it is, the first one by Lux onto Nailup.
Tomo will be going down again. Could be bleeding out as Ultra are going to be trying to stick the res. Lux barely staying alive here with about 1% HP. PG-18 trying to reset as well, trying to get the res onto Nailup, but the shots continue to come in. And that's going to be Lux going down.
Really, really good holding shots by PG-18, but the push by Beşiktaş has not been stopped. Nailup still needs to get revived, and actually the second down by Ultra is going to come in. 3 HP. Just Beşiktaş, whenever they don't get taken out, they get so much damage anyway. Oh, that nade just barely misses its intended target. PG-18 are actually eliminated, though. This by Northern Lights. They heard this engagement happen, and they actually had a good sight lines from that compound that they were holding at.
Yeah, the members of that squad were just completely opened up to the likes of Northern Lights, but here comes Vitality. They heard all of that action blowing up in the distance, and, well, they went for a peek. Shadow and Kramer going to be seeing if they can pick up anything onto Beşiktaş, who are kind of playing in a bit of a back foot position, trying to recover off that engagement they had previously taken. And, again, with all of the knocks that they suffered in that scrappy fight, Cameron, they certainly don't want to be fighting right now.
Yeah, that's actually the worst thing about their fight was that they had lost a lot of resources with the meds and the bleed out timers. You know, getting faster and faster the more you get knocked. But their positioning isn't bad. No. Vitality could have really punished them, but Northern Lights almost acted as a bodyguard. Washout is discovered by Recrent. That's Ferrari Breach going out in 15th place. And Unity, well, they're going to have to move once again because the circle's going to shift. Not as far of a hard shift, but it's still up towards the north.
Reciprocity still going to be holding on to an eastern position in this phase. They've got the members of AVANGAR in their sights. Inductive on the bike will be pulling off in a bit of a valley that blocks the lines of sight. Well, somewhat from Reciprocity, and will be able to at least get those meds off. Blast on down. He is on his knees, bleeding out in the blue zone. Will likely be flushed out of this game very shortly as his other teammates are able to pick up some kills on Northern Lights.
AVANGAR taking a lot of damage in the rotation as his Vitality Crema goes down. Come on, reload. Hit the R button. It's fine.
There it is, Raffi. He's got the SLR prepped and ready to spray down even more damage onto the team of AVANGAR on the hillside. But Vitality is under extreme pressure as Zoekt and Naam from a distance on that hillside is able to find another one. Nades come in. It's going to be a different squad entirely. It's going to be GamerLegion. Mac and Dark able to find the connection onto Nass's Please. Now pinched in between multiple squads. Jazza could be the only remaining member of Vitality.
The worst part about this circle was the fact that when you get this many hard shifts in a row and then half of the circle is taken out by the water, not half, but if you want to do a long rotation, you really can't go up the east side. And so that just limits a lot of directions that a number of these teams can go, and that's why they're all collapsing in on each other on the southern side.
Desperado's clashing with the likes of AVANGAR as Max's Ore gets dropped down to about 1 HP, but the nades continue to come in, and that's going to be Coldamento with the connection, taking him down and out. Even more, though, as the trades come back from Inactive, who's able to find the frag onto Calvin Klein. Down goes one more member of Desperados. It's a 1v1 in between AVANGAR and Desperados, unless they're going to be able to get the res. But these shots come in from the third party. Reciprocity down the hillside is able to find even more connections onto this AVANGAR squad.
It's just, this game is just not panning out in the way that AVANGAR have wanted. We've seen them back in Contenders, and they're doing the same thing now, where they try and go for a really wide split position for control, but it just doesn't work out. They didn't get taken out like necessarily immediately in their split position. They just failed to get the kills, and when it was time for them to rotate once again and actually collapse in together and play as a squad, that's when they got punished.
Team Vitality, out they go to the grenade arrival of Zoekt and Naam, out in 13th place position. Another early exit for Vitality in game number 12. Desperado is going to be following out quickly thereafter in 12th place position. 11 teams remain, though, as we work our way closer and closer to the 20-minute mark of this match. AVANGAR just trying to stay alive. A solo player, Inactive, after coming off of a good victory in the first game of the day, they're looking to have at least some type of a repeat performance or at least accumulate a few points.
Yeah, he actually got saved by Desperados going down, so that's a good break for him. And that bowl, if no one spots him inside it, is actually a really good way to hide from a lot of different people. It's easy to get naded in that position once they're discovered, and it may actually get pre-naded at some point later in this game. But at that point, you already have a number of placement points. If that's assuming he doesn't have to move off of a hard shift.
Right.
Northern Lights, though, they're moving away from the southwest corner, but Beşiktaş are actually pushing aggressively up from the south. They've cleared out basically everyone else.
Quizzy was in a position to possibly spot out. Lux didn't take the peek down to the southwest and still will remain an unknown factor, but certainly going to be known over here. Unity feeling the hurt coming out of Hjort from Riddle Esports, able to find the M416 connection and knock onto Orange Snow. We'll be following it up with some nades as Beşiktaş tries to do the exact same thing over onto the Northern Lights members that they had previously gotten the knocks on, and they're going to be able to find some confirms. Quizzy goes down and out.
This was the engagement that Northern Lights actually retreated from. And this gives Riddle the easy sort of 1v1 as far as teams go. Hannibro dropping Tizzer in. It's just Rekren, and Hjort's up close. Got information from his team. He's going to push, but pushes a little too aggressively at such low HP. Rekren puts himself in a 1v1, I believe, and actually fails the spray down. Hannibro is going to knock him out. Isn't able to go. Oh, yeah, no, he's going to be able to go for the revive on Hjort as well, leaving 2 up, but they're going to have to move because of the hardship up towards the northeast.
Unity going out kind of early here in this game. 11th place could open up some position movements for teams on the leaderboards around that 5th place position, certainly around the 4th place position as well. Beşiktaş is going to be under fire. Northern Lights deep, the remaining player on their feet for this squad is able to find one on the Simsy, is able to find the flush as well. Kill point going to be secured. Their 3rd of the game, the 3rd on the member of this squad. As Beşiktaş continues to push up. Lux going to be looking for deep. They're going to be able to find him. Tommel, actually, with the 2K onto Northern Lights, eliminates them in 10th place position.
This is a really good round by Beşiktaş, not just because they already have 7 kills 20 minutes into the game, but because they've had to collect those 7 kills through a very, very rough push through about, 7 other teams coming in from the south, coming in through Impala. So it's been very, very successful, especially if you consider what they've had to do.
9 teams remain, 25 players alive as we enter into the mid to late game. Phase number 5 in full effect, and Quickmath rolling up on the eastern side of Melman, who's taken extreme damage. Dropped down to about 60% HP and quickly retreating to try to get those meds off as Tornado Energy diverts the retention over towards Riddle Esports. The 2 remaining members trying to make the rotation around the far southwestern bend.
Big rapid rotation by Riddle, but also a big fight breaking out between Beşiktaş and Zen.
And then Reciprocity currently in a position to possibly third party. They're going to be aggressing onto this as well. It's going to be a 3-team fight as the nades get prepped. Rafi will be throwing them over as Zoekt and Naam continues to try to at least keep the members of Beşiktaş's bay and find the flushes, but now it's going to be coming out. Shiv with the scar is able to find the first frag onto T-Bone, and now Rafi and Haxetti going to be following it up. Zoekt and Naam devastatingly going to be ripped through by the likes of Reciprocity.
Really good counter push by Reciprocity when they heard the fight break out. They pushed out from the compound, sent 2 first, and the next 2 followed up once they got the huge advantage and didn't have to need to leave a player in that compound anymore. Ivel by himself, not going to get the pickup on T-Bone.
I mean, listen, if you heard the interview with Reciprocity to start off the day, they said here in this tournament, they have so much room to work with, and that room enabled them to at least push down to the south aggressively and wipe out Zoekt and Naam and pick up kill point after kill point after kill point. And with 8 teams still remaining, 18 players alive, it's not over yet as Tornado Energy looks over towards Riddle Esports, still unable to avoid that damage. Hort could be going down, thankfully a bit of defilade to keep them alive.
They actually picked up a couple of kills on a Quickmath as well, and so a wide wrapping rotation into a position to collect points, like that's actually a really good pickup for them. They still have 2 to work with, and Tornado Energy are still, staring at them, as well as No Tag just to their east. Both are gonna have to push down, but O'Connell is a little bit distracted right now by Quickmath.
Next shift comes out, and only 2 players find themselves inside of the zone. 2 teams, solo players for each of these. AVANGAR's Inductive continues to hold on to that valley on the far northeastern side of this phase. Quickmath's Pelts is able to work his way in off of the western edge, but O'Connell now starts to at least wrap around to the northern side. No Tag team will have to drop down from the northern position down to the south to enter in, and it could be fairly easy for them, but Riddle Esports continues to take damage. Jupezic going to be spotting out Quickmath. Tuho Juho, the recipient of at least a few tags, dropping him down to about 65 HP.
There's not a lot of people in the center right now, just because it is kind of on the low ground of a lot of the terrain that's still in play. Riddle is taking a lot of damage by Tornado Energy. Actually, Energy are in a position to get a couple of kills on multiple squads. They've been a bit slow this game on those kill points, but they can pick up a couple of more. Well, I say that. Ultra, the remaining member of Beşiktaş, actually finds a knock and a finish onto Example. But here the lineup comes from No Tag onto the final member of Riddle. Hannibro is not going to be in this game for too much longer.
And now there's Beşiktaş as Melman from Tornado Energy is able to find the trade back onto Ultra. Wipes out Beşiktaş in 8th place position. Jupezic and at least 2 more members of this squad are able to stay alive. Tornado Energy holding on outside of the western edge of phase number 6. Quickmath going to be inside of this phase, certainly going to be applying pressure in their direction, but pinched in between Reciprocity, it could give Tornado Energy a bit of a window of opportunity to find a safe rotation.
Hannibro, my dude, I know you're throwing the smokes, but 1, you're throwing them a little too late. The blue is already on you. And 2, I mean, do you have that many smokes to even get into the zone, much less a livable part of the zone? I don't know. You're just delaying the inevitable.
That they are, but sometimes delaying the inevitable can net you a few more points, especially when we're in the top 7. No Tag team. Jupezic able to find another connection. Melman going to be dropped down and out. The mini 14 connections ringing true for this squad that continues to at least hold on to the northern side. 2 members have moved in off the northeast. 1 still remains to try to at least make that reposition.
This is a wide split by the only 2 remaining players from Quickmath. This is quite ambitious of a hold. We got solo players coming in from the west side, only 1 remaining from Riddle and Tornado Energy, and so it's not like it's going to be a full squad coming across these players, but nonetheless, this is, I don't know, still don't often see this play happen. Hopefully it works out, but he's getting shot at by multiple sides, Suho Juho. Not just by Alag, but also up on the north.
I think at the very least it's ambitious for Quickmath to try to hold on to this position, but they are at least going to see more members on the western side of things get eliminated as Hannibro goes down and out, and now Quickmath feeling the hurt from Reciprocity. Shiv coming in with those nade kills onto Pelts. It's going to be huge, leaving just Tuho Juho of Quickmath.
I really liked this by No Tag. They only have 3 players left, but they left Jupezic up on the side from the compound that they were leaving to basically clean up all the solos on the west side, while everyone else, set up shop in a more controllable position. And so a very good use of resources in an area that they knew they had the space to work with.
Cameron, Reciprocity said they had a lot of room to work with. You can see on your minimap just how spread out they are, but it's not impacting them negatively. Shiv continues to just be an absolute solo player threat on the southern side of this circle. Rafi going to be looking for any type of southern flank entry coming in from the west and not going to be seeing anything just yet. But Reciprocity is looking like they want to take away the chicken dinner here in this game with only 6 teams remaining, 11 players alive, and I believe 4 players of those 11 are going to be Reciprocities.
Yeah, they're the only team with all 4 up. There's 1 with 3, but then it's just a whole bunch of solos. And a lot of that comes from the fact that this was a very hard rotational game with all the hard shifts up towards the north, all the water that impacted those rotations. And then, of course, you can just see the terrain right now. It's really hard to control it as a full squad. Reciprocity, they're going to have to hit their long-range shots, but we know that they can do it. They have probably one of the most accomplished snipers in the game all the way back in the original squads.
Yes, absolutely, they do. Shiv.
I'm referencing Shiv.
Shiv.
I'm referencing Shiv. When he first joined with the team that eventually became Vitality, when they were as Evolve,
right.
They were known, at least to me, as being the biggest long-range threat.
No, absolutely, and Shiv has kind of displayed that skill so far here in the promotional tournament as Skoom looks to pick up even more. Haxede did get dropped down and out, so Reciprocity only working with 3 members alive as they look to combat the likes of No Tag Team to the north, and then the solo player of AVANGAR, Anuctive, has been able to push his team into a top 3 position, at least from a placement consistency point. It's going to be fairly good for AVANGAR as they continue to climb up the leaderboards.
No Tag already with 7 kills. Jupizik on a wide flank, but he has the high ground oversight by his other 2 teammates who actually have some good angles on the Reciprocity, but the shots are being returned. Let's see if this nade lands, though. This one looks quite good.
Ooh.
Air explosion deals a little bit of damage to Skoom, but not enough to drop him, but Shiv also takes a fair bit of damage.
Yeah, and that's when kind of the flank position from Jupezic actually pays off. Once you saw exactly where O'Connell and Gibbet were holding on to with that high ground position, shift comes out. Jupezic now going to be holding the positional location for this No Tag Team squad. You're going to see the rotation coming around the northwestern edge.
Jupezic needs to go loud right now because with the angle that we saw that Reciprocity had onto No Tag, they have to go down a hill when we've seen that be really, really difficult before. So Jupezic needs to be enough of a distraction, enough of a threat to keep Reciprocity's sights on the rest of his teammates. At the same time, Anuctive could also pull up some major moves and get a couple of points for himself.
And that's kind of the outlier. That's the unknown right now. Anuctive could spell disaster for the 2 members of No Tag that have to push down that open hill. Even if Jupezic is able to distract the members of Reciprocity, who look fairly content on watching that hillside as desperately as possible. Skoom going to be connected on Jupezic, at least able to find a few tags onto Skoom, but it's not going to be forcing him back behind the hill. He's very confident in his ability to hit the 3 shots needed, essentially, to drop down this member of No Tag.
We just compared Anuctive and now Shiv. Shiv is #1 in kill leader, while Anuctive is only in 42nd. I believe Shiv is, what was that, 26 kills?
Yeah.
Or something after, that's more than twice a game at this point. That's a really good number. Jupezic got his last nade. This is the reason why he couldn't be too loud, because grenades is what he needed to use, but that's not going to land. His teammates are trying to push down the hill with the help of smokes, but they don't have enough to make a full wall, so there are a couple of gaps. But it's not being fully capitalized yet. Shiv is going to actually bleed out. Once got knocked, but there, Raffi goes for the commitment.
3v2v1 right now as AVANGAR is able to find a knock onto Gibbet. Makes it a 2v2v1. As AVANGAR continues to at least stay alive. Anuctive has not been taken out yet. None of these teams really have the angles to approach as they worry about each other. That's Reciprocity and No Tag Team. And Raffi, though, he's able to spot out Anuctive. Out goes AVANGAR in 3rd place position. And now it's just going to be the proper 2v2. O'Connell and his team versus Raffi. And the rest of Reciprocity able to find the flush onto Gibbet. Going to be making this a proper 2v2 with Jupezic still on that flank position. Phase number 9 going to be in full effect, and Reciprocity with 10 kills going to be trying to make it 12 in a chicken dinner.
So Reciprocity know where the 2 solo players are. The question is, can they find an angle of attack onto either of them to not allow the... Well, I say, Skoom's actually just going to rush ahead. He's hoping O'Connell won't peek, but O'Connell is watching. He's a lot of damage. He's actually going to not receive too much Skoom. I say that he's down to 20 HP. He's going to get knocked. It means just Raffi, and he goes for his own engagement, and that's not going to work out for them. It's going to be No Tag with the win.
Very important win for No Tag coming out here, able to at least keep the 1st place squad on the leaderboards from getting that chicken dinner and extending their lead even further here in day number 3. Reciprocity, they look a little bit lost in how they lost that engagement, but given how spread out they were, that push from Skoom, I think that really hurt them, Cameron.
It was a ballsy move.
It was.
But if you look at the final terrain, the middle of it was a big flat field. And because O'Connell had the tree to watch over that, when you have the two players split in the way that they were to create that crossfire, they had the huge advantage there. The only thing that Reciprocity could really do in that fight was to try and corner one of the solo players and make it a 2v1 rather than a 2v2.
Yes.
But with the field in the center, that's really difficult to do. And so Skoom just tried to run forward and just hope that No Tag was not expecting that aggressive of a maneuver.
Yeah, I think it was a pure show of confidence coming out of Reciprocity right there.
Or
saying,
desperation.
Well, I think confidence, because here's the thing. They pushed out like that.
Yep.
They should have played for trades. The methodical way to play that in a very highly competitive lobby where Reciprocity isn't, in first place, right? It would have been a little bit different. I think they should have played it a little bit more reserved, and I think that's what's going through their minds right now as we saw them on stage. But nonetheless, a huge game for No Tag, working their way off of that hill position. Jupezic playing such an impactful role for them.
Yeah, and this was a team that really actually they were the team that were with AVANGAR in the very beginning of the last game as having the power positions, and that got completely pulled away from them early on, but they were able to stick it this time around. But this time, not coming from center, they actually used some really intelligent rotations to try and avoid the sort of the traffic coming in from the bottom. We haven't been seeing a lot of that in this series. That's something that you don't see a lot, these wide wrapping rotations. And sure, I may have commented how in this circle it's a little more difficult to do that with the water and the coastline,
Right.
but I still kind of would have expected to see more. I understand that there is always the you want to go for those kills that you can get by being in the super populated area. But let's hear it from the boys themselves, No Tag, as they talk to Dave.